This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangelna Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. We are extremely sorry. We are 36 minutes delayed, but we are coming with latest with Qamar Agha. Mr. Qamar Agha, he is a defense expert as well as a strategist. Without wasting time, I just wanted to play some videos so that you will understand why there is a paradigm shift from health issue called corona, wherein you have seen the pharmacy and insurance mafia was literally getting people enslaved, but the freedom convoy started. We have been doing this show for the last 2 years. The freedom convoys of Canada, now 1st March US, and the entire Europe it engulfed. So people were uniting. At this juncture, we have seen not health issue again becoming a headliner for the world. It is a war issue. So some issue to divert the attention from the people understanding the hoax of corona and how people lost their lives and livelihoods for a disease which has got 99.99% cure. And you have seen the same trail after Biden becomes the president. What happened to Afghanistan? Till that time, they were trying to hold on to Afghanistan. All of a sudden, without any preparations, they left Afghanistan. God knows why they were occupying and why they left. Same condition is happening in the other part of the world. Russia, the erstwhile USSR, broke away into so many. Now Ukraine being the communist border along with the Belarus. Belarus is supposed to be the strategic point of European or Western countries' interest. And Ukraine has got very good big geographical area. It is dotted by even the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, wherein you have seen the Chernobyl leak. What happened to the humankind? How it destroyed the life and environment altogether. So Russians wanted to occupy this since 2014 when their Enkuman was the president. But after that, the breakaway factions in the eastern part of Ukraine, then I'll try to show you how there was a problem when it concerned Ukrainian territory and how Russia was very close to this eastern borders, how it was trying to control. And there was an agreement in 2015, I feel, between mediated by France and UK. But in spite of that, Russia felt that Ukraine has violated the letter and spirit. So it was ready. But the situation, the timing of it, when the freedom convoys, when the people were fighting against the tyrannic rules of the West, Canada and US, and entire Europe was also in the midst of big demonstrations. Russia also, no better way, though it is having common borders with China also. But all of a sudden, they have distracted the attention of the people, and the warmongering has really come into being. But now they have started to invade Ukraine. Again, the bombing, once through health, mafia, pharmacy, insurance, even the software, and you know how Bill Gates were trying to mint money. Now arms race. Why? Because when people are united fighting, they wanted to deprive people of their fortunes in the form of the currencies which every country was holding. There is a big conspiracy to promote digital currency through that cryptocurrency. Now, when they said Russians are making a mockery of the sanctions, they said we have cryptocurrency. Many billionaires in Russia are already into cryptocurrency. Crypto means hidden. No common man is private to that. You have seen how Canada's dictator, their premier Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, was trying to deprive people of their right to spend by invoking so many acts so that their freedom to spend is curtailed. The freedom to protest is curtailed. We have seen that the same thing now do they want to promote arms trading instead of pharmacy insurance when people have understood. Now they want to loot in this way. At the same time, promote digital currency After some time, America and Europe will say, we have done our best, but we never knew that they are having so much of cryptocurrency. This a drama, but at what cost? Precious loss of human lives, big environmental disaster on the close of another pandemic, which we have just seen. We are coming out of it. So the lives and livelihoods, not only Russia and Ukraine, but the entire strategic Europe and entire globe is literally disturbed. For this reason, the TSPR channels is kind enough to Mr. Qamar Agha. One passing comment from you, sir, before I just try to show, then after that we'll get into the discussion. How do you look at this scenario?
You know, I'm glad you have raised a very pertinent question. The European powers, they have been waging war. First, they were fighting among themselves in the First World War, Second World War. Before that, so many wars they fought among themselves. Then they established peace among themselves and started waging war on Asia and Africa. We have seen what has happened in Vietnam, Indochina. Then we have seen what is happening in other countries. How the war was waged, how their weapon system were used. We have seen what Israel has done in the Middle East. Their most trusted ally. Then we have also seen what recent years. What has happened in Afghanistan, and then Iraq. They have a policy, of containment, imposing sanctions, then regime change. But none of these policies have helped Americans, except, their arms trade has gone up to many fold. New weapon system they are developing, and then they are testing it in our country, in Asia, Africa, and then selling it to us. We are buying them from them. This is what the chain is going on. So they are keep fighting. No, once again, the theater of war is shifting to Europe, and earlier from Afghanistan to Iraq to now Ukraine. And this war, I tell you, it has started. It won't end in the near future. It will continue for many years. One can start a war, but they have no power to stop it, because there's so many actors then got into it. I think Americans and Europeans must be very happy with this war. Now, Ukraine will have to suffer. Ukraine will have to fight their war. It's basically a proxy war between Russia and America, which is suffered by the Ukrainian people. So what I'm saying, this time has changed. 21st century. Americans have waged war in Vietnam, got nothing. They have waged war then later in Afghanistan and Iraq. What millions of people have killed over the years, but they have not been able to achieve their objectives in Afghanistan or in Iraq or now in Ukraine. Russia is a very powerful country. It cannot be cowed down. It cannot be suppressed. Like when Iran, they couldn't suppress. Iran, they imposed all sorts of sanctions on Iran, and yet Iran refused to talk to them. And ultimately, Americans will have to come to the table with the Iranians and agreed. So these are the things. These are difficult things. I hope they will understand, and peace should be established. And one just cannot achieve its goal through war or containment or Russia is a powerful country. You just cannot. The ultimate goal is what Americans want. They want to maintain their hegemony over power, global power. They want to remain the only global power. They don't want any other competitor to emerge. Now Russia has emerged, China is there, India is emerging. So many countries are emerging. Multipolar world is emerging. So that is the main fear of America. So what I believe, in the times to come, there are many wars are going to take place in Asia, Africa, and in Eastern Europe, to contain Russia or contain China, India, or Brazil, or for that matter, South Africa. These are the countries very powerful. We have now, Americans don't have monopoly over technology as they used to have earlier. Now, earlier all the foreign surplus money from Asia, Africa used to go to Europe and America. Now they are investing in developing nation like these, the BRICS nations, because here they get more profit by investing in India, Japan, China, offer that matter, South Korea or South Africa. These are the countries, so they want to suppress this. This is not possible. Now, let's come back to this war. Russians have triggered a war, no doubt about it. They were forced to take this step. How can they allow Americans or anybody else to be contained? So it's a proxy war which is going on, but it will have far-reaching consequences on the entire region. Number one, oil prices have already gone up to $110 dollar per barrel. And if sanctions are imposed on Russia, then it will go up to 30, 40, I don't know how much. This will directly affect the global economy and particularly the economies of the developing nations like India or Brazil or South Africa. These are the countries which are going to be maximum. And suppose if Russia stops their oil supplies to Western Europe, what would happen to them? I mean, they are so dependent on Russian oil and gas. They will not wait for the American to impose sanction on American or on Russian oil. They might impose before that. Their ban on supply of oil and gas to Western Europe. Then entire global economy will be affected. Secondly, country like India, we have a very good relation with Russia. We have our military supplies, spare parts. We have joint productions with the Russians. We have developed BrahMos missiles and many other things are going on. So we will be in trouble, and the price will go up in India as well, in many like other countries. So I think, hopefully the American would realize, that they will not be able to achieve their objectives through war or through sanctions or through regime change. This is very immoral because sanctions do not affect the regimes. It directly affects the people of that country. Look what was happening in Nicaragua, what is happening in Cuba. The regimes are strong, people are suffering. What has happened to Iran? Iran was the one country which managed somehow. Russia knows how to prevent the effects of sanctions because they are the latest one. So they have moved to crypto, as you mentioned. They have moved to other things. They have allies and partners. They have their own SWIFT, their own system of transferring money. So won't be much affected. But the people of Russia would suffer. The people of Ukraine would suffer, will continue to suffer for a longer period of time. I think the time has come. There is a need, that there is a need to change this global order. This global order is established by the Americans, by the Western nations after the Second World War, which favors them. Now I think the pressure should build up to that new security and political structure should be uh, brought in. There's a need for urgent reforms within the Security Council and within the United Nations, where the developing nation should have greater role to play, because all the international institutions, be it World Bank, IMF, or any other, you name anybody, specialized agencies of the United Nations, they're all controlled by the Western nations. They are the one which are major beneficiary of these institutions. So need is for a major change. Multipolar world has already emerged. This has to be, they should recognize it. And if they think that the war or something, would be, this is very negative thinking. And they are continuing for the last 150 years. First they colonized, then they started, waging a different type of war. We have seen from Vietnam onwards. Soon after the Second World War, Korea was divided, Palestine was divided, India was divided, Pakistan was created. So many artificial states were created, and they created an axis from South Vietnam to Pakistan to Israel, South Africa, Rhodesia. This was the axis through which they control Asia and Africa for almost 50, 60 years. Now time is up. People have come to realize their their machinization or their scheme of things, But I hope, some international consensus might emerge against these policies of the Western world, and some sort of, sense prevail in the ruling elite. Americans don't want war. Freedom convoy is going on in America, in Canada, in Europe, and everywhere. They want peace. Everybody wants to live in peace. Is the political elite, in these countries which are waging war, which are developing new weapon system and then selling it to us. So I think time has come. They should stop it. These things.
Now, don't you think, sir? Because the West, including America, Canada, and Europe, is fearful that these freedom convoys have started to emerge out of Canada to America, then entire Europe is also engulfed. Is it not a fact that to see to that people's attention is diverted? Don't you think these are the people who have been masterminding all this? Now it looks like that, because till the other, I'll show you some videos, but till the last minute, entire NATO, entire Europe, US, everyone stating that we are with you, don't worry. And I would like to show you this cartoon, how they try to match. Don't you think these are the people who have ignited at the cost of suffering of both, as you rightly said, Russia and Ukraine? This is the cartoon. Now, Mr. Putin, if you cross that line, there will be consequences. Ukraine and Russia. See how Biden is warning and Putin just trying to be. Then he crosses the line. I am serious, Vladimir Putin. Ukraine and Russia is already into Ukraine. Now, this is what is happening. Not one more step. Now it will be crossing the eastern border. I mean, the eastern flank of Ukraine, and it will try to occupy the entire country. Don't you think these are the people who are trying to ignite slowly but surely? It is a mutual understanding. Don't you think?
Yes, of course, this was the game plan. And but the problem is, President Zelensky of Ukraine was happily agreed to this, to play this role in Europe. Zelensky is not an original Ukrainian. He belongs to the Jewish minority community, and somehow he managed to capture power. And he's the one who is promoting that the Ukraine should join NATO, Ukraine should be part of the Western Europe, but the Western Europe is not interested in taking Ukraine. What they want, Ukraine should join NATO, because NATO, Ukrainian has a big army which serves the Western nation interest, which should fight on behalf of the Ukrainians. But what has happened? The Russians have virtually dismantled this army. So they won't in future won't be able to play that role also. So they won't get much money. But what Americans wanted, or what the Biden administration or the British Prime Minister wanted, they wanted Ukraine to become another Afghanistan, where Russians should get dragged on for years, in a situation. They don't care about the Ukraine, the civil war would take place in Ukraine, or what was happened to the Ukrainian people. They don't care about the people. They care about the interest. Their interest is that Russia should be dragged into this. But Russians, so far, thank God, they are not killing the local people, or they are not indulging. They are only targeting the military establishment. Another thing, Russian and Ukrainians have brotherly relation. Both are Slavic people. Both have common culture, and both have, strong connectivity with the Orthodox Church, Orthodox Christianity. So neither the Russian people nor the Ukrainian people they don't want to have anything. The Zelensky and a small band of people within the Ukraine, which is promoting these interests and serving the interest of the big powers in Ukraine. So let's wait and see how Ukrainian people behave. Demonstrations are taking place within Ukraine, and Russia also. Both don't want war.
Civilians were also killed. There are reports that civilians are also
Yeah,
killed.
of course, they will kill. They get killed. In a war. But so far, they are preventing. Their major concentration is on to disable them and the Ukrainian army. That is their main objective so far. We don't know what will happen because it won't. Zelensky won't spare. We'll see to it that Russia would fully engage, because war. He can, Russians can initiate a war. Ending is not in favor. Now the West will see to it, Russia remains there for a longer period of time, and would affect the Russian economy and Russian role which Russia's are playing in Middle East region. Would not be able to do that. The Russia-China, Russia-Iranian axis which is developing, should be contained, and so there'll be a lot of ramification. It is still to talk, but hopefully, soon the details will come. We'll get to
But
know
it was
within.
only this, Russia was interested only this eastern part of the Donetsk and Luhansk. But they have crossed the border. Now they are into the capital city side and they are bombing all the cities. How does this? Because now I'm trying to put it to you. Ukraine is a natural resourceful country and it has got plenty of minerals, and it is the nuclear power. Actually, it is the nuclear power. You name whatever you need to become a nuclear power, you have all the raw material in Ukraine itself, and it is a land of natural resources. How do you think Russia will go weak? And not only that, russians russians do have some palladium and all those basic metals which are needed very much for the automobile industry. For auto chip also, you need Russia not only gas and oil, but these palladium like metals. Russia is a rich source. Now, how do you think these sanctions are going to help? And don't you think Russia will boost its resources by occupying Ukraine? And don't you think even China is there with Russia? Now you have seen Pakistan Prime Minister visiting Ukraine, I mean Russia, at this hour, and he is supporting Russia. And don't you think this China and Pakistan will together are going to create problems India when it comes to the Indian subcontinent strategically? How do you look at this Southeast Asia?
Of China in Asia Pacific or in this Afro-Asian region. Russia has its own desire to emerge as a major bounce back in the region, and Russia is emerging. Russia is more, for Russia, the most important country at the moment is Iran, because Iran is a rich country, has the resources, oil, gas, and is very strategically located, important for very important, to help protect the Central Asian regime, where Russians don't want Americans or Western Europeans to gain influence, and they are blocking this. One side, China is blocking their entry into, other side is Iran is blocking. So Russian national interest demands, closer ties with India, not with Pakistan or any other country. Secondly, we have a good relation with Russia, and trade relation, strategic ties. Then we have Russia is a time-tested friend, will not abandon India at any cost. Secondly, there are other things also. The problem. This is a very important. Make it or break it. Type of situation for Western Europe. If Russia continues to grow and become a major important technological hub as it is emerging, then that is posing very serious threat to the markets of Germany, France, and Britain, and America as well, because a lot of market has already taken over by the Chinese. Now Russia will also carve their market, because Russian, as I mentioned earlier, Russian products are hardy, stronger, more life, much cheaper. And then secondly, their spare parts are cheap. Now Russia is also building now civil high net worth product of civilian use, like ships and uh, uh, civil aviation sector or automobile sector. Then many other sectors it is entering, which is posing threat to Germany and other things. So therefore they don't want Russia to re-emerge in these sector and compete with Western European countries. So this is the basic premises is to get involved, to force Russia to get involved in Ukraine and stay there for longer run period, and so that it will not be able to play a role in South Asia or Central Asia or any other countries, And this is a plan which Americans have make it. Americans have also thought, they'll change the regime in Afghanistan that and install a pro-American regime. This is what they thought they will change in in uh, in in Iraq, and that regime would serve the American interest. Then Iraq and Afghanistan will help Americans to change the regime in Iran. What has happened? Mess, nothing. Russia, Americans have not been able to achieve their objective. Iran is still going strong. Things, you can make these plan in computer, but you cannot implement. People think differently. Afghanistan, they had a friendly regime, and yet it has not been able to promote American interests because of the pressure from the people, because of the pressure from the regional countries like Iran. So the pro-American regimes in Afghanistan couldn't fulfill American interests, could not promote American interests, and in the end, Americans had to withdraw. They made a deal with Taliban, hoping that Taliban would serve the interests. There, Taliban is also gone. So these are the things, you can make these plans on computer, but you cannot implement. People think differently.
But don't you think, Agha Sahab, don't you think Russians will be much bolder now because they are occupying naturally resourceful country? See, Russia already, because of Russia, oil and gas, it is the third largest supplying oil and gas power in the entire world. Now they supply metals like palladium and all, which are most essential for automobile industry. And already you have seen the chip, the main chip. Because of that, American new cars were on hold. Now, don't you think strategically, if Russia is waging a war, it already is a resourceful country, and it is trying to occupy another resourceful country. And when China is with him, with Russia, and Pakistan prime visiting Russia at this time, how do you look the Indian strategic interest? Now I will show you one video where many Indians are there still hold out. More than 20,000 students, I am told. I do not understand what close relations India has. Don't they have an idea that Russia is going to occupy before that they should get the Indians out? The flight also midway it has to return. How do you look at this scenario? Indians are caught unawares. Now Prime Minister speaks to Russia, Putin, and he says cessation of war. God knows what they spoke until and unless everything is made public. How do you look at this scenario?
No, because we knew that the war is coming. We knew everything, everybody knew the war is coming. Evacuation of these Indian students was difficult because of the pandemic reasons. Many airports were closed, and it was not. It made it difficult, for the withdrawal. But anyway, somehow now evacuation was. I mean, we were making a plan because this is large number of people. Evacuation takes time, logistic development and other things. Anyway, somehow, then suddenly the war came all of a sudden. So they will be, they are so far, they are at safe places. This is what we were told. And once we will try and bring them. I mean, there are a number of ways, because India is good in evacuation. We have evacuated over 1 lakh.
I'm flashing the numbers. I'm
from Kuwait, and
yeah.
then from Yemen, then from very recently we have evacuated people from Afghanistan. So we have a good experience, evacuating Indians from different countries. They will be brought. Yes, other problems are there. Oil prices are rising. That is affecting directly, would affect our Indian economy. Then not only that, if more sanctions are imposed in Russia, because this is interconnected world. We are very well connected with Russia last 70 years, We cannot ignore Russians. If more sanctions are imposed on Russian, they will have direct impact on our economy, our own relations. These are the problems, would India would be facing. Prime Minister Modi has talked to them. I don't know what has transpired between the two. India can play some role, because we have good relation with all the three people, like the Western European countries, including America, then Ukraine, as well as Russians, So all three are with us, quite diplomacy can work, India could facilitate talk between these countries indirectly, many things can be done that we will get to know later, This is not the time. This is secondly thing you mentioned, that Russia has gone to occupy Ukraine, or Russia has gone to take their resources. No, I don't think that is a criteria. Russia has gone to save itself. Russia has gone there, to protect its sovereignty and integrity, because that was threatened. Because Americans are, if the Ukraine would have become a member of the NATO, then Americans and British, French missiles would have been installed in Ukraine. This is what they don't want, And secondly, as you mentioned, Russians have enough resources. They don't need further. And plus, they have got many resources in Central Asia at their disposal. They are extracting from these countries, But Ukraine is important for strategic reasons for them, and they know that Ukraine, in future, they will have cooperation with Ukrainian as well. If once they've gone there to change the regime, they would like to see that President Zelensky's regime go from there, so that they can have better ties with the future regimes. So this is what, and they also wanted to tell other East European countries, look, you cannot depend on Western European power. Your future is linked with us. You have to live with the countries of the region. This is a block, and let's work together. That sort of a message he is communicating.
Which are the countries? Which are the
It's
countries you think
it's a,
this message has gone to? Which are the countries?
no, these erstwhile Soviet republic, republics and Eastern European countries, and because these are some of these countries have joined the Western European Union, but they haven't benefited much. There is a civilizational conflict also between East and West in Europe that is very old, and Western Europeans political elite, a section of the political elite we have seen, is a racist also, a section within it, and they don't care about these things. We have seen what Hitler has done in Second World War or First World War. What has happened, They don't want Russia to emerge. They don't want Eastern European. They think these are the bloody peasants. Should be, they believe that they are the only civilized people, and it is their responsibilities to civilize the entire world, So this is the relationship which they want, and the people relationship. I won't call it slave, because that age is over. So that sort of a relationship they developed. So I'm not proposing what Putin is doing, or I'm not proposing what they are doing, but some sort of understanding must emerge in this block of nation. I think the
Now
Russian
let us
would
just
understand.
yeah. Let me just put some things like what world is trying to do before, and even the Putin. I mean, sorry, the Biden. He was commenting. I'll just hope this opens up. I can play because I am being hacked here. the main problem is I'm not able to show some resourceful videos. One, I'll just try to come back to one. And you mean to say in India, what role you think, as your expertise in defense matters, India should be playing in this uh, particular hard times? That too, when Pakistan premier is still in Russia. And what is that? How could Pakistan premier go to Russia? Don't you think China had facilitated this? And if that is the case, don't you think Russia is in glove with China? And Russia also trying to give a subtle warning to India also. Look here, I have Pakistan one. Don't deviate and don't move towards west. Anything like that?
No, 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 no. Russians can't afford to lose India. India is their time-tested friend, big market. Second thing, India is very important in South Asia and Central Asia. Russians are talking to Pakistani mainly because of Afghanistan. They feared, the militancy in Islamic provinces or Islamic regions of Russia would come from Afghanistan. So they are, one hand, they are talking to the Taliban. On the other hand, they are also putting pressure on Pakistan. Pakistan is not very important to them, because of number of reasons, And secondly, as I mentioned you earlier, China wanted Russia to join its bandwagon, because, but Russians don't totally want to ally with China. Reason is that if they join totally in glove with China, then they'll have to play secondary role. Russia see its own role in Middle East. Russia see its own emergence. So is China. So is Iran. Iran also doesn't want to join neither Russia nor China. Iran is also pursuing independent foreign policy and sees itself as a major player in the Middle Eastern region, but seeking support from both Russia as well as China. And also wants to develop very close ties with India. So these are the things, things are changing. It's no more Cold War period. It's no more 21st century or...
You mean to say in Central Asia, I mean this part of the world, you mean to say every country, like as you quoted, China it's a superpower. Now Russia, it would like to come out of the China's bandwagon, as everyone was touting that China is funding Russia in times of even the crisis, which they were already going through sanctions. And now Iran, now India, now Pakistan and Afghanistan, these splinter groups are there because of the religious fundamentalism. And don't you think the hegemony, the elite hegemony, the ruling fraternities, the politicians, we have seen during Corona pandemic, all political parties have become one. You see in India, they've brought a legislation also that, so right from 74 till this time, no NRI funding can be sourced. The NRIs who have funded political parties cannot be sourced through. Even the electoral bonds, they have become very opaque. That means all political parties have become one. In this scenario, how do you think that people are going to really benefit? And don't you think these hegemony elite rulers, they will trample upon democracy? They will trample upon something called environment friendly. Don't you think there is a big danger for our own existence, freedom as well as the environment? Because they would love to engage themselves in the warmongering, arms trade, or in the name of cryptocurrencies, enslaving the entire world so that people do not have money to spend or to protest or to support those who are protesting. Don't you think this hegemony is going to derail the democracy? And in doing so, because of this warmongering and arms trade, it will destroy the environment and peace of this region.
No, Dr. Prasad, I don't think so. Yes.
Audio. Your audio, sir.
Democracy. No, the ruling elite always prefers, the democracy tries to trample the democracy. But Dr. Prasad, democracy is very deep rooted in this country. Very deep rooted. It is very difficult to suppress it. Mrs. Gandhi tried. See what has happened to her in 77. After that, many attempts are being made. None of them succeed. In India, we have a history of national movement. We have those traditions. They are very deep rooted, and I don't think any politician could get away with the democracy in this country. Yes, there will be some problem. There could be some problem here and there, and attempts are being made in the past and now and in future also. But we will, hopefully we will come out of these problems. And secondly, you at the moment, the biggest problem is the war which is going on in Ukraine. That has to be stopped because that is going to affect our economy very badly. And not only our economy, but a pandemic has already affected a heavy toll on the global economy, and this war would affect everybody. And developing countries would more be affected. So there is a need. I think somebody should India should take up this matter at the multilateral forums like BRICS, like
Quad also.
yeah, United Nations and others, and see to it this problem should be diffused. In Ukraine, election should take place.
Yeah, but don't you think the United Nations, we have seen World Health Organization, how it had failed a second fiddle to China and Western powers, how Corona mandates were imposed in the entire world. All political parties have become one, including Russian president. Now, before I want you to comment, I'll just play this video, just a 1 minute video, so that you'll understand what people are thinking across the globe in regards to uh, just wanted to play this. Are you able to hear, sir?
Yes, I can hear, but I have a program, so we can meet
Yeah,
some other
and
time.
now what do
I
you
have
think, sir? Now I do not want to play. I'll just ask you a question straight away. He is from Germany and half American, half German, and they have been lending support to this freedom convoys. What he says is, when people have realized the plight as well as the hoax behind the corona pandemic, when they started to move and the entire world was becoming one, now there is a big conspiracy in the form of war. All this elite hegemony, now they are planning so that people are always kept interested and people do not unite, people do not speak freedom, and always they are kept captive. How do you look at this statement?
I think it's a very powerful statement, and always they try to divert attention. Biden first wanted to divert attention from Afghanistan, then pandemic, as you mentioned, create a new crisis so that people get engaged in that one. That is a old game, we know. But at the other end, the people have also realized these games. That's why demonstrations are taking place all over the world against the war, against the against the in favor of freedom convoy. So people are also organizing themselves. In Europe, in Canada and many other countries. And it
First
will
March,
be here.
first March, this first March, sir, this first March, Washington DC, the entire this truckers convoy, freedom convoy is going to come. It's going to happen. It's a big event. First March, Washington DC, America. And don't you think at this juncture, this war happens?
No, America is very divided. The problem is within the American society. So Biden wanted one thing, something to keep attention from there, because Black Life Matter and many such powerful democratic movements had emerged in America, who are not neither happy with the Democrats nor with the Republicans. They want to promote their own agenda. And that is, this group is very powerful, which was behind the victory of Biden. Once the Biden is elected, he's trying to bring back the same old agenda of the political elite, divide and rule, that sort of a thing, but this is not going to work. I'm sure, there'll be a lot of people have come to understand social media is very powerful. 24-hour debate is taking place, and they cannot divert the attention. The movement is pro-democracy movement has become very powerful in Europe and America, and in Asia also democracy is emerging. They have suppressed it. We have seen how they have suppressed the the Arab democratic movements, but this will not work. Again, the pro-democratic movement is emerging in many countries of Arab world, So time has changed. I hope they will realize, but the problem is the political elite is not changing with the time. So that is why we fear, a lot of war, a lot of problems going to come, because Americans are losing their power to hold, or power to dominate the world. Their hegemony is being challenged by many countries in the region. They don't no longer have monopoly over technology, and technology is the thing. Now not the GDP. People see how much technology a nation has, and this technology has been developed by many countries. And in
Last,
future also.
last,
I just want.
last one. Sir, you are a defense expert. Now, don't use last one, brief one. Now, because of this mad arms race, now cryptocurrency, hidden currency also now trying to play a major role. How do you think that this is going to help the common man when the crypto now richer will become neo-rich? Now, instead of Swiss banks, now cryptocurrency has come. Now, see, even India also going towards digital mode. Digital mode, and they are even taxing cryptocurrency without understanding whether this money is from drugs, arms, or anywhere else. Now Russia says we have got a lot of cryptocurrency and so much of arms dealing. Is it not at the cost of lives and environment?
Yes, crypto Americans have come to realize that dollar is losing, and dollar will no longer be a major global currency in future. So American wanted move towards both dollar as well as crypto. Russians realize that the sanctions are coming. They have no other way but to avoid the sanctions. The best thing is to use crypto for different reasons. Uh, reasons. Different countries are using crypto. It's not a good thing. Crypto will create a major problem in the not only for us but also Western Europe and America. What they are doing, they're trying to divert from one problem to another and another to going back. But there's so many problems they are creating. It's a web of problems in which the Americans and European will also get entangled. So just wait for some time, Dr. Prasad. And the freedom movement is not confined to that. It's a movement, global movement. People were realizing for a very long period of time to get rid of these elites which are controlling the global financial.
Sir, audio, sir. Audio, sir. Which they are trying to control the global financial. Yeah, from there.
Financial systems, the new system would emerge very soon. How much time in a history, so, we have seen 10 years, 15 years, not much, but things are moving very fast, and some sense will prevail. Otherwise, there will be civil war in number of countries. Thank you very much. I have another program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can watch this retelecast on Citizens Dr. TSPR channel either tonight or tomorrow morning. And this is for it. War is no answer to anything. And to divert from one corona pandemic to war, it's not going to help. And everyone, as he rightly pointed out, will have to suffer if crypto, arms, or drugs, if that become a big menace along with this corona pandemic, trampling the democratic, peaceful living of the people. Then if it is crypto which is going to affect the hard-working fortunes of the people, people will come with freedom convoys. I only hope this freedom movement is the only resort which will see to that democracy prevails and the environmental disorders do not happen, so that we will have a safe living across the globe. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thank you.